You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you once again. And on today's episode, we are round ball focused as we had some news coming to pass for Red Raider hoops. We've got an addition to the non-conference schedule in the form of a multi-team event, something we've talked about on some recent episodes, now coming into light as far as some details there. Not quite sure they're done in that category, so we'll get to that coming up in just a moment. But first, we've got an extended contract for your head coach in Grant McCasland, I believe, now signing his name on the line to keep him a Red Raider through 2030, 2031. It's obviously been a great start to his era. I don't know if this is some great shock, but nonetheless, this is a guy that you want to be in business with for the long term, and sounded like he was agreeable to that as well. So exciting news for Texas Tech Red Raider basketball fans and their head coach, Grant McCasland.
Yeah, again, not a shock. I mean, you just haven't had many head coaches on your campus that have had legit interest, and I think at the minimum conversations with, if not him, his agent, with Texas, Baylor, and Texas A&M, because that is the reality here, and he's stayed put and really hasn't entertained much of it at all for whatever reason it would look like. And obviously Baylor, it was kind of at the time, it was kind of a hypothetical. That was really never an opportunity because Scott Drew didn't leave, although I think they were ready to try to pounce. But Texas and Texas A&M did have openings and all those things. But anytime you're hiring coaches and you're trying to figure out whom to hire, there's a variety of ways to look at this. Sometimes you need some sizzle. You need to win the presser. You need to do the. We need a lot of energy. I mean, I think Joey checked that box with when they hired him, because that the program needed that. Sometimes you try to you go opposite theory, like, okay, let's go find an opposite of what we just had and whatever. Right. There's a variety of ways to look at this stuff. But bottom line is, in college specifically, pros not so much, but college specifically, it's really about fit. You could take a phenomenal coach and drop him in certain situations, and it just won't work because it's not a good fit culturally, schematically, recruiting ties, whatever. There's a variety of reasons why it won't work. What you did here, though, is you really hired an ideal fit. Grant fits with this. You fit with him. He gets it. He's been here. But why he's getting paid more than he was is it's worked. You set up shop in a league like this one, in this particular sport, and you go 26-12 over 2 years in the conference. Yeah, man, please stay and stay a long time. I mean, that's where you're at here.
I might even tell somebody, hey, you give me that record, I'll give you 2 years, do whatever you want to at the beginning. But now that you get into it, kind of getting accustomed to it, I'd like to stay in this relationship for a little while longer. And yes. I think clearly, not that it, again, is some shock or like people were waiting to hear this kind of thing, but it's clearly something that you can put forth to any player, any parent, any transfer, any whatever, to say, this is our reality. This is the present. This is the future. Mm-hmm. This is our guy. And it feels really good to kind of have should I even say this word out loud? I don't want to jinx this. Stability with the program like men's basketball, because, man, there has been some great success and there has been some great tumult as far as transitions and head coaching changes. And you and I were just talking about during this last season, all the things that you've withstood and still wound up being as relevant as you are as a basketball program. And I guess, I don't know, maybe it's a little PTSD or shell shock for me as a fan, but rolling into another era with a new head coach when Grant McCasland gets on campus. And I know the backstory, I know the fit and all those things we like about it, but I'm still kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, if you will. It's just some of my Red Raider insecurity probably, but I do kind of feel like you're getting a stability vibe now with your men's basketball program. And man, that's like water to a man wandering through the desert, because I don't know if there's another program across the country that's had the kind of significant change you have, some of it involving some soap opera theatrics, and yet still maintaining some successful basketball. And finally, we kind of get past the soap opera and hopefully some of the tumult, although I don't know if you can ever say that about any college sports program, but stability is a word that comes to mind. And I feel like it's been a little while since I felt that way, because people on the inside, even during the Chris Beard era, when you felt like, man, we're really good and we're sustaining some success, you just talk to some folks around the program and the general vibe was, I don't know how this ends, but it could be a Hindenburg-esque scene when it does. And you're like, what? What do you mean by that? And then we all kind of found out, and so did Texas.
Well, and Chris was always kind of from the Mike Leach, thing where it's like, I'm always just kind of looking to just to improve my situation, or I don't ever want to get stale or be in any one place for too long or whatever. But the other thing about Grant is, I think that we need to point out is they've announced a new 6-year extension or contract or whatever, and because there's a couple other things. When he was hired here, lots of questions and lots of curiosity and lots of concern. Let's just call it what it was. Pace of play. I don't want to watch this. I don't care if we're winning or not. I want to watch games in the 50s. You can't win big in this league doing that. You can't, a lot. And that couldn't have been further from the truth of what we've seen. This speaks to how good of a coach he is, can win a variety of different ways. It was defensive minded at North Texas. This is the way that gave them the best path to victory. Here, they've opened it up a little bit. They've recruited to it. They've been one of the best offenses in the country. You're a really good shooting team. And then the defense was a bit slow last year to come along, but when it did, and improved dramatically. And they ended up in the top 10 and the Elite 8 and all those things. The other thing I will point out is this is always the hardest thing for a coach, because one of the hardest things for coaches or programs is getting good is sometimes the easiest part. Staying good is hard, and doing it consistently. And part of the problem there is because when you get good, everybody starts knocking on your door. Hey, coach, I'd like to interview one of your assistant coaches, and I'd like to talk to them. And you get kind of picked off a little bit with your staff. He's already done it once, and I think done it extremely well. He's now about to have to do it again a bit, but that's also a telltale sign of a good coach when they can ably backfill on coaches. And you've now had 2 of your guys in 2 years leave to be head coaches. You've had another one leave to be a top assistant for a Big Ten school. And I just think that's important to note, because I think he's earned the right to be trusted here. The Coach Linder thing. Because you have guys leaving to be a head coach, and he had a head coach come work with him. So those are a couple of things I think that are worth pointing out. And Calvin, where does his salary going to fall here? And by the time people are seeing this, it may have already been reported. But what I'm prepared to say, like right now, is Bill Self and Scott Drew, I think, are the highest paid coaches in the league. Understandably so. You got a natty on your resume, multiple conference championships on your resume, all the stuff. You deserve it. Both of those guys. Kelvin Sampson probably deserves to be in that category as well. The other individual that I think is very well paid, because I think this is what it took to get him, is Tommy Lloyd at Arizona. Arizona fancies itself as a basketball school. They were trying to make a big time hire, and all that. And I think, he blew the win totals out of the water in his first couple of years. They were still very good this year, maybe not quite as what the Arizona folks wanted. My point is, I think Grant McCasland is now going to be paid in that group. I don't think he'll be higher than Drew herself, and I think that's fair. I don't even know if he deserves to be, like what Samson. That's fair. As high or around what Tommy Lloyd's making, which is around close to $5 million or slightly over it. I think
that's 5.2 for Tommy.
I think that may be about where you see Grant come in at, maybe slightly less. I also think that something for Texas Tech, because of the first conversation we had, something that will be key for Texas Tech in this contract will be.
First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, and the NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on all the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet hits. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to really win big. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
Something that will be key for Texas Tech in this contract will be buyouts for in-state schools. It's always like a little give and take. We'll pay you this. However, here's what we'd like. So the next time Baylor or Texas A&M, which there's really nobody else that matters in that category, and it's really specifically Baylor. Anytime that comes up, that buyout is I think will be much higher there than if he were to leave to go. Because, his name was being mentioned for Indiana.
Yeah.
You have a really good coach to the point where people were like, man, Tech better lock this dude up, man. Indiana may come calling, and I don't know what was real or wasn't. I'm just saying, when you're in those conversations, you have somebody that the national folks are going, okay, we got to come up with our who would they call list, or who should they call list. And Indiana is one of those big time jobs that it may not be as big as it once was, but anyway, I hope you get what I'm saying here, in that
1,000%.
Exactly.
He's a young guy. He's an up and comer still. He's now had major success in a major conference, maybe the most competitive one. You'd be crazy to not have his name on a hot sheet wherever you are in the country.
Yes, and now he's got a deep run in the NCAA tournament on his resume too, because that was the one.
Yeah.
If you'd have lost in the first round this year, that would have been like, okay, man, really good coach, but man, there's starting to be a bit of a thing. It's like Joey in this first couple of years, he can't win on the road. Well, knock that deal out, and
we'd be doing off-season shows about getting over the hump for Grant McCasland.
Yeah,
right? Can we get
that's
to
right.
The second weekend,
but not anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah.
And now you really can't. You just can't say that. NCAA tournament is difficult and all that. My point is that there'll be a much higher buyout for some of these in-state schools, specifically Baylor. Really, it's just a blanket deal. But that's what it has to do with than it would if he were to go to an Indiana or whatever. But this is a wonderful man and a wonderful family. They are Texas people. They spent a lot of time in West Texas and around the Metroplex. His son is now going to play for Todd Duncan over at Lubbock Christian. And, anyway, so it's I don't envision a scenario to where he would take another job out of the state of Texas. So I'm thrilled because you're right. It's stability is what this thing's needed. And that could be scary for some of these Big 12 schools if Texas Tech settles in with a really good coach and allows them to build stability and recruit really well. Because that's the other thing, man. They've been able to get players here. And now it'll be just about, can we maintain our staff enough to where we've got continuity and we can maintain that stability and all the like, because wonderful strength staff, wonderful general manager, wonderful assistants around him, wonderful development, wonderful facilities. Now you've got success to go with it. So, yeah, look out. Texas Tech basketball not going anywhere anytime soon.
And I don't, it's not all just about stability, because there are some cases where it's like, hey, you get a hired gun, he comes and puts on some good basketball and he rolls elsewhere. Some just experience that kind of lifestyle, and it's not the worst lifestyle. So it's not just like, hey, we want the same guy. I don't care what he's doing on the floor. Let's just get stability, for crying out loud, the same name. No, we want good basketball too, but it's all been wrapped up in one package with Grant McCasland.
Yes.
And I don't want to go like super sycophant or anything like that. I don't want to go Aggie on you. Every guy they got's always the most angelic person on earth. And of course they're blah, blah, blah. You see how that works out for them all the time. But I've said it before. I said it during last season. I've become like a Grant McCasland stan. I'm worshiping at the altar of Grant McCasland because he seems to, and I don't know him personally, but he appears to wrap up all in one relatively compact sized individual. Respect, integrity, psychotic competitiveness, and charming charisma, which all seem to serve a college coach in whatever sport very well. Usually you get like maybe one of those things and you can work with it a little bit, but I think I described him just that way on an episode during the season. But I'm as big of a fan of him just as a basketball coach, regardless of what shirt he was wearing, save for a few elsewhere in the state we've already mentioned. I think I'd be a fan of this guy, and I just really excited for ours.
The most there's no drama with one exception here with Grant McCasland. The only drama you get in front of the camera, behind the camera, on a Monday, during the middle of a game, whatever. The only drama you're getting here is some serious intensity and passion, especially when some idiot referee throws a guy out, or they just don't know the rules or whatever. But no, he's going to be passionate toward his players and the officials, and that's really the extent of any kind of drama there. But it's channeled correctly. He's trying to win, and he cares deeply, and all the other stuff though is right in line. So anyway, I think that this is all just really good news for Texas Tech, and it really wasn't. There was no drama with this. There was no. I mean, I think behind the scenes, people will tell you when A&M kind of flirted and reached out. I think he shut that down quickly, and I think they assured him, "We will take care of you," and he was like, "I appreciate it. We're good." And then here we are, a month later or whatever, and they did take care of him. And so that this is the way it's supposed to work when everybody is where they want to be and everybody's on the same page and they're aligned. And that's certainly the case here.
Congrats to he and his family. Congrats to all of us as Red Raider basketball fans for getting a nice little mid-May gift under the tree. And congrats to the herd of donkeys that won't be have to hold anywhere else. I'm sure they'll be relieved to hear that news. Before we get out of here, Chris, let's talk a little other Texas Tech basketball business. Multiple team event news coming across the wire this week. And I'm not quite sure we're done in this category just yet, but you've got an addition now to your non-conference schedule. Still some work probably left to be done, but what did you think about this announcement that we got as it relates to some non-conference action coming up?
Well, there was a lot of Texas Tech being mentioned out of West Lafayette, Indiana. We had mentioned this on an earlier episode. There's a lot of rumors and a lot of anonymous this, anonymous that. It sounds like that was Matt Painter, the Purdue head coach. Kind of he already knew the deal, and it sounds like Matt Painter is the one that was kind of telling various folks that who was going to fill out the field there at this tournament in the Bahamas. So this nothing officially has been announced, but Matt Painter pretty much is like, yeah, these are the games. This is what he was on a podcast and just kind of spilled it all. So I'm going to take Matt Painter, who's one of the best coaches in the country, who may have the preseason #1 team next year. I'm going to take him at his word, and it makes sense because Texas Tech needed something like this to play in. It'll be November 20th and 21st this coming fall. What he is saying is Purdue and Memphis will play in one game, and Texas Tech and Wake Forest will play in the other. Wake Forest went 21-11, I think, last year. Had a really good year. They were 13-7 and a semi-down ACC overall. And then the winners of those two games and the losers of those two games will play the next night. So you're going to get two good games right there. You add that with LSU. You still need another MTE or another neutral site or another juiced up. I mean, you're probably looking for a fourth and a fifth meaningful game. If it was just a fourth one, you could live with that depending on who it was. This is the sweet spot, but yeah, you typically, have 4 to 5 when you have the 18-game schedule. It was just a handful last year with the trip to the Brooklyn, and then you had the Big East Challenge at home and things like that. And then the A&M game, neutral site. So I'd be willing to bet you're still going to play in another one, maybe somewhere in December. There will be something that you're working on around Christmas or that second week in December somewhere, Kansas City, Vegas, somewhere. So we'll see. Keep an eye on that. But this is a good one in the Bahamas. And we'll be busy footballing at that point because that'll be right there in that sweet spot of Thanksgiving, and there's a bye week there, and so we'll just kind of see what that looks like. But yeah, I'm going to take Coach Painter at his word, and that's a couple of good games, especially if one of them is against Purdue, because this is one of those games where win or lose, you will win. I mean, win or lose, just playing the game, you will win, and obviously you'd prefer to win it, but you're not going to be. But that could be a sneaky top 10 matchup over in Nassau. And this resort, because everybody's like the Atlantis, which you've played in before, this resort is right next door, which I say right next door. It's not like houses. It's probably like half a mile or a mile away. But that's how big these resorts are. But it is. It's like located like right next to it. Just a lot of space. So this is a resort that's, I think, been around for 2 to 4 years. I think it's fairly new ish. So anyways, but yeah, they are they're getting in the college basketball business as well. So there you go.
Red Raider basketball returns to the islands, something that never goes without adventure.
Let's just hope there's no issues. But this
keep the
is
jokes to a minimum. We got a lot of time for those.
I know, because yeah, even in Grant's first year, there was interesting things going on.
That is correct. Familial drama seems to accompany the Red Raiders to the islands on occasion. That's a different show, though. All right, Chris, appreciate the time for some exciting news to be discussed here on Locked On Texas Tech, and always appreciate the perspectives. Looking forward to the next one, and we'll see you then.
Texas Tech hoops stays winning. So yeah, keep hope alive, everybody. It is alive in the land of Lubbock, and we'll talk to everybody next time. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys for being out there. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks to the Everydayers and the Matador Mob for always being out there as well. Hit the show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. If you're interested in joining that crew, that's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.